Alright, hello everyone, this is Hako, and today I'm bringing you my first ever review. And the game we're going to be looking at is Across the Obelisk. If you've never heard of this game, then let me paint a picture for you. Imagine Darkest Dungeon and Slay the Spire had a baby. That baby would be named Across the Obelisk, with the additional gene contribution of some solid co-op gameplay. So if you're a fan of those games, chances are you're going to have a blast with this one. Across the Obelisk is all about strategic planning, party building, deck building, and praying to RNGesus. For every run, you start by selecting 4 characters. And as I mentioned, this game is co-op, so each individual character can actually be controlled by a separate player. You have 4 different types of classes to choose from. You have Warrior, Rogue, Wizard, and the Healer class. And each class containing 4 individual characters that for the most part plays completely unique from one another, each one excelling at their own things, their own strengths and weaknesses. I myself have put in more than 200 hours since the early days of early access. And it has been a comfortable default game to fall back on with my friends. The game excels at the deck building, and it's genuinely fun and rewarding to try out new builds with the same characters. And the same goes for the team building. You're not shoehorned or forced in any way into picking one from each of the 4 classes. Picking 2 or even 3 of the same one could be a viable strategy depending on your synergy and your coordination with each other. There are several game modes in the game to try out. You have your classical adventure, which plays like a traditional campaign. And this mode takes you roughly around 4 to 5 hours depending on the difficulty. Then you have 2 shorter ones with different roguelike approaches if time is of the essence. Although I will admit, most of my time with the game has been spent in the adventure mode. The different maps also be a treat of their own to explore, as almost all of the locations, questlines has quite obvious and less obvious nods and Easter egg towards other pieces of pop culture. And the maps are filled with different events, with varying rarities that only has a chance on appearing on each map. So each run, you're incentivized to explore a different path depending on the events. The co-op is, in my opinion, the single biggest strength of the game. It's also a double-edged sword. Handling 1 or 2 characters in multiplayer is completely fine. But the game does not in any way, shape or form adapt itself to be more manageable when you are playing single player. You are getting the exact same experience. And I think for some, myself included, handling 4 characters yourself with their own unique builds and playstyles can be a bit too much effort and too much busy work. Like I said, I have been following this game since early access and there has been quite a few changes, most of them for the better. But I think one major one is for the worse. You see, the game has always had a talent system. For example, you could put a talent point in +2 block, and what that would do is that all cards that gives you block would then add 2 extra block. In the early access version, by the time you had your character at max level, you could actually put a talent point in every talent, which allowed you to adapt to a new strategy mid-game depending on which cards were given as a reward. If you didn't get the cards that suited your initial thought, you could pivot into another build without much of a penalty. When 1.0 was released and the game came out of early access, they changed the system. Instead now, your points is really scarce and you cannot even afford to get 25% of the talent by max level. Well, this adds one more strategic layer to every run, but it also comes at the cost of adaptability during your playthrough. Now you have to decide beforehand what your playstyle and deck is going to revolve around, and quite frankly throw away any cards that does not come suited for that build. Because now any cards that does not belong to your initial thought and planned build suffers the big penalty of not being backed up by your talents. Because you simply do not have the points to put into any off-chance stats. But this is a pretty minor gripe with an otherwise excellent co-op roguelike that offers a lot of fun, especially if played in the good company of friends. Every system has the right amount of depth and complexity to feel engaging. And no run is like the other. But as a single player experience, I would be hesitant to recommend it, as I expect solo players would burn out quite quick. So make sure to have at least one friend to play with, and 2 characters quite manageable. As a co-op and a roguelike experience, my rating for Across the Obelisk is a 9 out of 10. I highly recommend playing this. So, that's it for this review. Hope you like it, and if you did, leave a thumbs up. Leave a comment if you feel like I missed something. And please tell me if you've given the game a try. Stay safe, and until next time.